Beyond Science is Mikey Chen. Superpowers is something I love talking about on this channel because, well, and I think most people in the world want them. Be honest, who doesn't want to be able to fly or teleport and be like a real-life X-Man? Except, I wouldn't really want to be this guy. I mean, his power is just basically turning himself into a cactus. So if I had to ever fight him, all I gotta do is keep my distance and get a stick. Anyway, speaking of superpowers, there is a really interesting report recently of an 8-year-old boy named JT who, along with his big brother Mason, apparently saved their father from being crushed by a car with the help of what he called angels. The father, named Stephen Parker, was working on a Toyota Prius with his sons at their home in Sugar City, Idaho, and the car accidentally collapsed on top of him when he was adjusting an axle. As a result, he was completely and utterly trapped under the car and then eventually passed out. 8-year-old JT was the only person around at the time because Mason had gone inside for a bit, and he shouldn't really be able to do anything in that situation because it took both his father and Mason to jack up the car the first time. But JT started jumping on the jack's handle, and for some reason, the Toyota started to rise off his father's body. This is really remarkable because JT only weighs around 50 pounds. After the car was jacked up, JT told Mason what happened and they called 911. Thankfully, Stephen Parker was saved, although he was in critical condition and had 13 broken ribs. And the strange thing was that after they went back home and JT once again tried to jack up the car, he could no longer do it. I mean, this could also be, like JT said, angels, I don't know. Now, it could be angels that helped JT lift the car, or it could be something known as hysterical strength, which is a supernormal strength that certain people possess when they're in life or death situations. I'm sure we've all heard stories of superhero instances in real life when people are suddenly able to lift impossibly heavy objects when they're trying to save their loved ones. There have been so many instances of these phenomena that there is no doubt that they do happen. But what is the strength that people develop in random spur-of-the-moment occurrences? The exact reason or explanation for this extreme strength is still a bit unclear, but we do know that it has to do with the fear and pressure one feels in a certain situation that allows them to do the impossible. First of all, you should know that something like hysterical strength is very difficult to test in a lab because, as I mentioned before, it's something you experience in life or death situations. So unless you're put into that kind of situation in a controlled environment, it's almost impossible to reproduce its effects. But there have been experiments related to the strength of a person's grip before and after being stimulated with electricity, and it was found that people have around 25% more strength after they've been shocked, which proves that people really do have strength that's usually locked up but can be utilized when given a certain stimulant. Those who do believe that hysterical strength exists associated with something like an adrenaline rush. So let's talk about adrenaline for a minute here. Adrenaline, or more accurately known as epinephrine, is a hormone and a neurotransmitter that participates in the body's fight or flight response in certain high stress or dangerous situations. And adrenaline may be the cause for Hulk-like abilities because it basically gets rid of all the systems in your body that inhibit you from exerting your maximum strength. As a result, you forget the sensation of pain, your blood vessels are dilated, your muscles are more oxygenated, and your brain's activity speeds up an insane amount. And since the brain controls muscles by sending impulses to motor neurons, there will obviously be more muscle fibers activated to perform a certain task. Alongside adrenaline, there's also another hormone called norepinephrine that some scientists believe to be a more convincing explanation for hysterical strength. The reason they believe norepinephrine is the one responsible is because it works a lot quicker than adrenaline and also acts like a primer, telling the body that it's time to go into fight or flight mode. Not only that, it also tells your muscles to dump all its stored glucose for instant bursts of strength, which results in a huge amount of energy released for your muscles to use. So from the effects of these hormones, your eyes dilate, your brain activity increases, and you're much more focused on whatever you're doing. In fact, all your focus is directed at a single point, whether it be escaping from a deadly situation or saving your loved one who's dying before your eyes. As a result, you get all the strength you never knew your body could exert. And if you're wondering why our bodies can't always use the maximum amount of muscle fibers, it's because, well, we're walking meat popsicles after all. And although no one is precisely sure, some studies show that people usually use as little as 25% of their total muscle fibers. That's because on a daily basis, your brain's kind of like, nah, I'm not gonna bother sending signals to all the muscle fibers because you don't really need that much strength. What I'm trying to say is the use of so much strength will strain our bodies and consume too much energy. And the hysterical strength state is only a temporary state that our body allows us to be in when the brain senses certain stimuli and then overrides all limiters in the body. If we were in a hysterical strength state all the time, then we probably won't be able to stay alive for too long. Another example of hysterical strength can be seen from people who are on meth or PCP. One report speaks of a person who was on PCP and jumped off a building that was 3 stories high. After he landed, of course, his legs broke, but he continued running. Yup, he was running with broken legs. It's just that he was running so fast, his broken legs really didn't matter anymore. Basically, your body pumps out all these hormones and you're in a state where you're supposed to be seriously injured, but you're not, if that makes any sense. There are so many cases of Hysterical Strength that it would be impossible to list them all here. Anyway, there you go, guys. And by the way, if you want to see displays of Hysterical Strength, then go watch Yu Yu Hakusho, Fairy Tail, Ronin Kenshin, or basically any action anime series, especially Dragon Ball Z. Has Goku ever won a fight ever where he didn't discover another level of Super Saiyanness? Is that a word even? But let me know your thoughts on this topic. Do you believe that we all have an inner Hulk inside of us? All right, guys, thank you all so much for watching this video. I'll see you later. Hey guys, hope you're having a fantastic day. Thank you so much for watching Beyond Science. It's Mikey Chen. Superpowers is something I love talking about on this channel because, well, and I think most people in the world want them. Be honest, who doesn't want to be able to fly or teleport and be like a real-life X-Man? Except, I wouldn't really want to be this guy. I mean, his power is just basically turning himself into a cactus. So if I had to ever fight him, all I gotta do is keep my distance and get a stick. Anyway, speaking of superpowers, there is a really interesting report recently of an 8-year-old boy named JT who, along with his big brother Mason, apparently saved their father from being crushed by a car with the help of what he called angels. The father, named Stephen Parker, was working on a Toyota Prius with his sons at their home in Sugar City, Idaho, and the car accidentally collapsed on top of him when he was adjusting an axle. As a result, he was completely